What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sling'n Proffet podcast. That's right, we're back to you live. It is Wednesday night, January 17th. Hey, wild card weekend's in the books. Next up is the Divisional Round. Proffet, welcome to the show. How has your week been, man?
Great to be back there, Slinger. And wow, what an eventful week this past week was. But between great football and winning lots of money, we had a 3-day power outage down here. We had 90-mile-an-hour winds, took our electric out. I thought I was going to have to sit in a bar and watch the games all day. Well, that would have been a terrible thing, but fortunately we got the electric back on, and then we get hit with a freaking blizzard on Monday, and yeah, now we're in a deep freeze.
Nothing's worse than sitting in a bar with somebody watching the game who's winning a lot of money when you're not winning a lot of money. But you are right. Some weather all up and down the East Coast wreaking havoc. Some gave us a couple early or late arrivals for school, which was nice. I wasn't sure if you're going to be able to get on the show tonight with the power outages, Proffet. But hey, like always, you persevere. You made it happen. You did say one thing that I'm going to have to disagree with already, and it's early, but I got to disagree with you already. And you said a week of great football. And the only thing worse, I think, than a snowstorm, because I hate snow, was the wild card weekend that was. And I don't know where you're saying you had great football, because that's one of my gripes, Proffet, is I didn't think this weekend was very great at all. Other than one game. Well, I thought the games were very, very mediocre. And that's putting it lightly.
When you take three different accounts that are sitting with 5 digits, and you make all three of them have 6 digits in them, that's a great week of football. I don't care what the
now
weather
you talk
was
about
like.
there's your separation between head and heart, Proffet, okay? But for those of us who didn't profit off of this weekend, it wasn't a very enjoyable weekend of football. Now, granted, any football is good football, and we're going to be realizing that soon, because it's all coming to an end here within a matter of a few weeks. All right? But the fact of the matter was, other than that Lions game, where was the competitiveness in any of these games? And what do you chalk that up to?
Well, I actually disagree with you. Go figure, okay? Because I thought the Lions game was a great game for sure from a competitive football standpoint. But I enjoyed the Cowboys game. I enjoyed seeing the Cowboys get spanked the way they did. I enjoyed seeing the Eagles get spanked the way they did. I enjoyed watching the team that I think is going to win the Super Bowl spank like they did, so
all right. But listen, from a you can say that from a personal satisfaction standpoint, or you enjoyed watching teams get blown to smithereens in some regards, but from an overall football fan perspective, there wasn't a whole lot going on. And I hope that this week is a little bit different. But judging by some of these lines, and we'll talk about it, judging by some of these lines, Vegas isn't predicting many close games this weekend either. So we'll have to see. But we'll talk about that a little later.
I'll give you that. For sure. From being a football fan and wanting to see good, close, competitive games, no, I agree with you 100%. It was a bad weekend for that.
Yeah, and like I said, we got games coming up. We got a couple teams coming off their bye that it should spice things up a little bit. But all in all, not a great weekend of football. Hopefully, we get a little bit better. Now, one of those teams that you mentioned that did let us down, that I want to kind of dive in on a little bit here, Proffet, and talk about this a little bit. And they didn't just let people down this weekend. They've been letting people down for the last 2 months. The Philadelphia Eagles went from 10-1 Super Bowl favorites to 11-6 and getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs by Baker freaking Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, of all people, who, and we'll talk about that game in depth later. But you talk about a guy, a journeyman in the NFL, embarrassed you, and they embarrassed his team, and we kept on talking. We talk about him week after week about something's got to change. Something's got to change. Nothing has changed. They didn't come out. They didn't show any fight. They didn't play harder. Hurts didn't play anywhere near where he played earlier in the season. You got A.J. Brown didn't even play. I saw on Twitter today that A.J. Brown wasn't even at the game. He was at some boxing match in Atlantic City. Like, I don't know if that to be true or not. He wasn't at, I don't know if it was during the game or not, but it didn't look like from these reports that he even traveled with the team. What's going on in Philadelphia, Prophet, and what needs to change, and what should change now in regards to this organization, to this roster, to this coaching staff, whatever it might be? Do you think that Sirianni's worthy of having, getting removed from his job? I mean, it's a steep step to say, because he is a year removed from the Super Bowl. But the fact is, this team is 1-6 since he went on his little childish rant at the Kansas City Chiefs fans. I don't hear you now, Kansas City. I don't hear you now, Nick, and I haven't heard you for the past 2 months. And quite frankly, your team has become the laughingstock topic of the league. What's got to change, Prophet?
Well, let me first say, you said it. For the last 6 to 8 weeks, the Eagles have been telling us who they are. And when a team tells you who they are, you gotta listen. Okay? They come out, talked about it last week. You thought 2 weeks ago that they were going to turn things around and get the ball
against
rolling.
The Giants.
Against the Giants.
Against the Giants of all teams.
And it didn't happen. And it didn't happen again this week. I mean, they were in such a bad way. Number one, Sirianni. Yes, I'm sorry. Sirianni needs to go. Okay. And they touched on it during the game. They were talking about what Darius Slay was mentioning, how difficult it is as a defensive player to change things up and mid-season by changing the defensive coordinator. And now you're trying to do things the way this guy wants. Now you have to turn around and do them the way somebody else wants, and it didn't work. It didn't work. They were bad, and they remained bad after Patricia took over.
And I think that he just gone into total panic mode, and he was trying anything at that point.
Yeah.
Same thing with the offensive play calling. Nobody really knows by the end of the season who was actually calling the plays. Was it Nick or was it Brian Johnson? Because nobody could tell. Touching on that, though,
it might have been Vito. I mean,
who?
Big Dom.
Yeah, and everybody was excited that the Big Dom was coming back to the sideline. He was going to light a fire under their butts, but that didn't work. But again, you talk about Sirianni and you talk about, did he lose the locker room, which I firmly believe is yes. And if you lose the locker room as a head coach, it is you're so hard to come back from it, to almost to the point where you can't come back from it. You have to either completely change in-house, clear house totally, or you're changing your roster.
And they have too much talent on that team to do that. So
you mentioned that, and it's a good segue into my next point. And let's talk about the number one position on the field here. Let's and Larry chimes in here. He was 14-3 in 2022 and 11-6 in 2023. I get that the final record, Larry, isn't awful. A lot of teams would be given their right leg to be 11-6, but the fact that they were 10-1 finished 11-6 and then got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. I think that says a lot. Now,
but if you go back, okay, and because I was back and forth every week with a friend of mine with a good friend of mine down in Texas who's a huge Eagles fan, and we were talking all season long. They were just winning games. They were not beating anybody. Mm-hmm. They were skating by. They beat New England by 5 early on. They beat Tampa.
They lost to the Jets.
They lost to the. It's like they were not playing good football all year. Their schedule helped them out early on.
I agree, and we're talking about it, and we're talking about the conversation of the quarterback here, and it's come up a lot this past week, more than probably it usually does in Philadelphia. But people were talking about Jalen Hurts, and they're talking about, quite frankly, is he the guy to lead us into the future of where we want to go, and that's return and win another Super Bowl. And quite frankly, I'm not seeing it out of Hurts. I'm not seeing the passion. I'm not seeing the drive. I'm not seeing the fight. I'm not seeing the care, and I'm not seeing the production. And I preface the production with the other things that I said strictly from the standpoint of just looking at him on the sideline. He looks the same the entire game. And now I get it. People say, "Oh, well, that's a blessing because he doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low." That's bullcrap because he doesn't show anything. And you got guys week after week yelling at him on the sideline, and he just sits on the bench and stares blank off into space. If I'm a football fan and I'm attached to this team, which I'm not, and I don't attach to any team, but if I'm attached to this team and that's my quarterback, dude, show me something. Show me fight. Dallas Goedert, of all people, who missed half the friggin' season this year, Dallas Goedert, there's a video going around of him yelling at Jalen Hurts, berating him on the sideline, and Hurts is sitting there taking it. If I'm Hurts and I'm getting beat by the Bucs the way I am and the season's gone the way and Dallas Goedert is giving me crap, dude, there might be a fight on the sideline. You might be having to put Big Dom to use because you're going to have to separate us. He just sat there and took it. And as a fan, how do you just let that go if that's your quarterback?
Well, I mean, as far as that goes, for starters, if he has the respect of the team, okay, you don't have to worry about Big Dom getting in the middle of anybody because Dallas Goedert's not going to be up there getting in his face like that. Yeah, okay, some quarterbacks, and some players from time to time do have heated exchanges on the side, but everybody seems to go after him. Yeah,
it's every week. It's A.J. Brown. It's Dallas Goedert. It's Devontae Smith. It's every freaking week.
So to me, that's saying that he doesn't have the respect of his teammates, and and I'm not going to sit here and bash the guy. I've never been a real big Jalen Hurts fan. I said on last year's show, yeah, he got him to the playoffs. Let's see what he can do. It was 1 year, and last year he took him to the Super Bowl. Okay, but this year, did we see the real Jalen Hurts this year, or did we see the real Jalen Hurts last year? I'm leaning a little bit more towards this year.
Now, you touch on showing some fire and stuff like that. I see a video of Baker Mayfield coming out of the tunnel at halftime, and my man is ripping smelling salts and getting himself fired up, getting all juiced up, ready to go out in the field. And guess what? I love that. I love that fire and that passion from a quarterback, dude. He's going around headbutting people without his helmet on. He's a crazy SOB. But, dude, he's got the guys on the team love it, and they eat it up, man. And he's ready to go to battle, and that's what he's showing. And it was a tale of two quarterbacks, this week against the Buccaneers. But I just think all season, I just don't see him. I just see him. People have the argument of, is he a top 10 quarterback? I don't think he's in the top 15. And if he is, he's teetering right on the edge.
He certainly wasn't this year, Slinger.
I mean, you talk about a touchdown to interception ratio of 23 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. That's a lot of freaking turnovers. You know, I
I
just
mean that's more. Yeah, that's more than numbers that I expect out of Jalen Hurts than like I said last year. But
well,
we'll see. I mean, he had the weapons around him again this year. He just didn't get the job done, and
and
yeah,
the changes will come. And there, apparently there was the meeting today with ownership, and we'll see if Sirianni keeps his job, which I think he will. I think they will clean house in the in the coaching staff from other aspects. But if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, I'm going to Sirianni and I'm saying, knock your crap off. This isn't about you, okay? Stop making it about you. Stop being the center of attention and go win football games. That's my conversation that I'm having if I'm the owner of the Eagles. And if that doesn't happen next year, you're done. Or if I don't see some kind of progress by mid-year, you're done. And that's the conversation that I'm having.
yeah. I
Clearly,
mean,
I was. Yeah.
we're not talking about a guy that's got 30 years of experience. In this league. He's a new head coach. Um, you can't. We can we condone what we accept, and if you're going to accept that, you're saying it's okay, and it's not okay to act like that as a head coach. I mean, it's no good for anybody. Yeah, the fans will think it's funny, everyone, but the fans aren't thinking anything's funny right now.
Yeah. And well, that clearly worked me up a little bit, probably. But there was something else that worked me up this weekend, and it was the aspect of weather coming into play for some of these playoff games. And we saw it in Buffalo where they got hit with a major blizzard. They had to actually change the date of the game to Monday. They were supposed to play on Sunday. They had to go and shovel the stadium out. They had to clear the field off. You saw the Chiefs playing in the third coldest game, and I think it was in NFL history. There was reports of it being negative 25 degrees with the wind chill, stuff like that. My question to you, Prophet, now you definitely saw the weather affect some of these games. Now, these snow games, are we really getting the best of the best? All right, because we play the games all season to get to the playoffs. The playoffs are supposed to be the best teams playing against the best teams. And then the culmination of the ultimate game, the big game at the end, which is the Super Bowl, which is the best in the AFC versus the best team in the NFC. And what do we do with Super Bowls, Prophet? Where do we play Super Bowls? We play Super
Inside.
Bowls in a warm
weather,
setting.
warm weather, or inside.
We play them inside. We play them on a neutral field with all things being equal to both sides because we want the best possible outcome for the best possible two teams. So why don't we get in the playoffs? And you're going to call me crazy because football is meant to be played in the elements. But if you're not going to play the elements in the Super Bowl, then how are you even saying that the two best teams are playing in that game when you got a team like Miami who is playing in negative 25-degree weather and they got no chance from the get-go.
When
These
your
aren't the
division,
best. These aren't the best teams that are winning.
when your
It's the best
division,
teams that could embrace the elements and overcome the elements. And I don't know how fair that is, Prophet. And I know it sounds soft on my part. Oh, this is the way football's. That's not football weather, man. Football
When-
weather, 60 friggin' degrees. It's nice out. It's equal for both sides. You can run the ball. You can pass the ball. Mano y mano. I'm better than you, and we're gonna beat you. That's what football weather is to me. Not a quagmire, not blizzard, not negative 25 degrees, because you can't do anything. It's whoever gets lucky. Whoever, boo hoo hoo, Prophet, and you're showing how old school you are. Because if you had any recollection or if you had any inkling of fairness, these teams would be playing in neutral sites or domes or something along those lines.
Hoo. You know what? You got the Buffalo Bills coming into Miami in Week 18. All you need to do is win the game, and you're playing at home. Win the game. You didn't, so you got to go and play in 25-degree below temperatures. That's all. What are we going to do? We're going to force every team in the country to put a dome on their stadium. What happens when teams are playing and there were a couple of games there were a couple of games this year where teams were playing in monsoons. You know, that's
I'm
not
just not
fair.
a fan. I'm just not a fan of getting to this late in the season, and you got a game that, listen. They moved the Buffalo game to make it as best as they possibly could. They could have
No.
moved they could have moved the Chiefs game to make this a little bit more fair for both teams and put the best product out there.
They moved the Buffalo game because people couldn't get to the stadium on Sunday to view the game, and the field was not ready. I mean, that field was absolutely beautiful. The stands on Monday were a little crazy.
Right.
But
Well, that's my point. They moved
field
the
was,
game to make it viable. It was
but
viable.
they wouldn't have played the game on Sunday anyhow, Slinger. Nobody could get to the stadium. I mean, even if there was a dome on that
So
stadium,
what about
the game wasn't being
I'm
played.
saying though, but what about, like, I'm not going to sit here and beat this, but the Chiefs game could have been moved. We talked about it last week. It could have been moved
Yeah.
to where it was a little bit more manageable for both teams. And
Well,
I'm just saying we're not getting a true, and maybe, who knows, maybe this year we do get the best versus the best, but we're not getting a true reading. There's a reason why we play the Super Bowl in a neutral site, in a dome, or in a warm weather climate, because they want to see the best possible outcome between the two best teams. And we're not always getting the two best teams when
Well,
you're playing games in negative 30-degree weather.
You just put out a problem, okay? I've got two solutions, okay? Because that's what I do. I create solutions, not problems, okay? The solutions are all the teams have to play in warm weather areas, or if you're in a cold weather area, you got to put a roof on your stadium.
Good. Put a roof
How
on
can
it.
you how can you force teams to do that?
Well,
I mean,
we're going, like, now we're going to the NCAA tournament style, and we're going to seed you, and we're going to have host cities and host stadiums. How's that sound?
well, you could do that. I mean,
There you go. There's my solution. Next, speaking of college, this guy, Jim Harbaugh, has had 2 NFL interviews already, one with the Chargers and one with the Atlanta Falcons. All these teams now on Twitter and social media, they're posting when they interview guys. I never used to see stuff like this. Like, oh, they'll post a picture of a coach and they'll have the word candidate under his name or something. We interviewed such and such for our head coaching job. Like, okay, now Jim Harbaugh's been interviewed twice. Do you think Jim comes back to the NFL? And if he doesn't, all the publicity that he's getting for interviewing for these jobs, what are the people at Michigan thinking?
oh, you know what shocks me about all this, okay, is based on what happened this year with Harbaugh at Michigan, that New England hasn't interviewed him yet. I mean, we've had the Deflate Gate, the Brady Gate, the Belichick Gate. I mean, he would fit in perfect in New England, but I really don't care. Jim Harbaugh does nothing for me at the pro level. He's a rah-rah coach that works at the college level because in 2 to 3 years the guys are gone. And that's what happened when he came to the NFL before. He comes in with this rah-rah attitude, and it worked for a couple of years, and then nobody wanted to play for him because they were there. In college, they leave. So,
I mean, it's a good point. I mean, you talk about a guy who is sought after, obviously, for the year that he had, but he's also probably looking to get out of he's looking to get out of college if he's interviewed for 2 jobs. He's not shying away saying, hey, I'm at Michigan forever. Like he used to, he would proclaim that before. Clearly there's got to be mutual interest, and he's got to be interested too. Especially with all the, like you said, all that he's dealt with this year. Maybe the college game, he's just getting tired of it. Who knows? But we'll see. It's quite possible that Jim Harbaugh winds up back on an NFL sideline. By the way, after we talked about it last week, Belichick resigned or whatever, got fired the next day. Where do you think he lands quickly?
Well, I mean, all indications are Atlanta, but yeah,
I don't
I,
know. I don't know if I like that move for him.
I don't like it either because he's going to have to go down there and rebuild that whole organization, and he's not a young guy. We talked about that last week with Carroll and Saban, and I don't know. I would like to see him land in out in L.A. with the Chargers.
Maybe he
Yeah.
goes to Dallas or Philadelphia if they make a move.
He could end up in Dallas.
Dallas, and then we haven't talked about Dallas yet, but talk about a team that needs to make a coaching change. And I can't believe that they haven't already. And our resident Dallas fan, well, we're waiting for Dave to pop in too, but our other resident Dallas fan, Greg, here to pop in and let you know that the Cowboys are frauds, and that's coming from a Dallas fan. So, yes, Greg, we will talk about that. Actually, we'll talk about that. How about right now in our weekly roundup segment? How about that, Prophet? That's right. It is our weekly roundup segment where we're going to talk about all the games that happened this past weekend. And Prophet, we were texting about it Saturday night when it was going down. Our Cleveland Browns, man. The Joe Flacco story has ended. Browns don't even show up in Houston. The Texans roll on to victory in this one. Flacco's interceptions finally come up to bite him in the rear end.
Wait, what did you say?
Yeah, you heard me, Prophet. I'm not, you got to call it what it is. All right. We got 2 picks that were costly, obviously. When you see the defense running the other way into the end zone, it's always going to be costly. Prophet, I know you had the Texans in this game, but did you have them winning like this?
No, by no means. I mean, and in actuality, I had the Cleveland winning this game.
I picked Cleveland last week.
Yeah, I took Cleveland last week.
Oh, yeah, now, baby, I'm catching up now.
Well, no, because you had Cleveland also, but
yeah, but it's fine as long as you're losing too.
I did not bet Cleveland because I wanted to see the Texans win the game. And
Prophet, hold on. We have legitimate breaking news from Larry. Larry says, breaking news, Adam Schefter just confirms as we're on air that Mike McCarthy will be the head coach in Dallas next year. Wow. And then you have Dave, who, if Greg's resident Cowboys fan number 1, Dave's resident Cowboy fan number 2, or vice versa. Dave says McCarthy needed to go yesterday. So there's turmoil in Dallas, Prophet, because nobody wants McCarthy there. Nobody wants McCarthy. That's breaking Dallas news. You're not going to get any faster breaking news than you will on this show.
Dallas fans certainly don't want them there after
Holy
that
smokes.
game. But that's another game. I mean, we're talking about a team, an up and coming team here. Man, I tell you what, I'm happy for Joe. Joe had a great season when he came in, but the turnovers caught up to him, and the Texans did. They rolled on him, and I'm looking forward to this week's game against the Ravens.
I think if anything now, we I'm going to attach myself a little bit here to these Texans because everybody loves a good Cinderella story, and we have one kind of unfolding right in front of our eyes. So be exciting to see if D'Amico's got these guys ready. I'm sure he will. C.J. Stroud's looking great. For a rookie to come in and doing what he's doing, man, it's been fun to watch. So we'll see what happens this week against those Ravens. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. The Chiefs brave the elements. Rice and the Chiefs explode. Prophet, you almost became a richer man than you already are on Saturday night with your 2-touchdown Rashee Rice prediction, only called back by a phantom call. What did you think about this game? And I know we talked about it earlier about, with the Dolphins not being, it shouldn't have been played. in my opinion, it wasn't fair. All right. And I'm talking about, I like things right down the middle, fair and square. And this was not either of those.
Well, you know what? What I think, okay, is you had two teams, I said this last week, two teams that were reeling going into this game. And it just so happened that they had to go in and play in that weather. On the flip side of that coin, which we'll talk about coming up, okay, that's all I got to say.
Well, on the flip side of that coin lays one Taylor Swift, in my opinion. And her boy toy finally showed up this week to the tune of 71 yards and 7 receptions.
And 3 drops.
It was cold, Prophet. All right. They had to bear the elements.
Check Rice's targets. Check Rice's targets and drops.
At negative 30 degrees, your digits, they get a little slippery. All right. Let's be honest. The fact of the matter is, Taylor was in the house. She was dancing. She was having a good time, as was the Chiefs faithful. She was sitting in the box with, Mahomes' wife, rocking that custom-made, beautiful jacket. There's a rumor out there, Prophet, that Kelsey is close to proposing and popping the question already, and he's already talked about getting a ring. We're going to see a lot more of Taylor Swift, and I'm here for it, Prophet, and I know you're not. But I'm here for it.
Contraire. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. The first thing that they showed you after seeing the first game was they went right to the tunnel with Taylor Swift walking down, getting ready to get into her booth. I thought it was wonderful.
That's great. I mean, why not combine two entertainment and sports entertainment moguls? you got Taylor Swift on this side. You got the NFL on this side. You got the Chiefs. Why not bring them together, Prophet? Because, your name says it all. It's profit, right? And that's what the NFL is about, profit. And that's why they show her 7 times on Hard Knocks, Larry. And that's why they show her every other friggin' camera shot on TV, because it's making bills. All right, if Taylor Swift can go to an NFL game and make it cool for the people who maybe weren't fans, now they are. And that equals money, and you got to respect that. You got to respect that, Prophet.
Do you agree that any pub is good pub? Even bad?
Sometimes. Any pub is good pub.
Yeah, okay. Well, evidently the NFL or NBC doesn't agree with that, because the greatest sign I've ever seen was at the Kansas City game. A woman was holding it up saying, it's as colder than Taylor Swift's reaction to the Golden Globes or whatever the hell it was that she was at the previous week when she was made fun of. And they never showed that sign again during the game.
Good, because that sign doesn't make money.
Yeah.
We're moving on. Oh, we talked about it a little bit. Cowboys get embarrassed. New year, same story. All right, listen. You predicted you had the Packers, right?
Nah, man.
No, another victory for me.
You didn't have the Packers either.
I know, but anytime you lose, you're not gaining on me. So that's the way I look at it. So, hey, this game looks a hell of a lot closer than it was. It definitely wasn't this close. This game was actually quite painful to watch, and it was never a game, and it was 28-7 or 27-7 at halftime. You talk about a team that collapsed. What the hell happened with Dallas? And how the hell, now knowing what we know, is Mike McCarthy still the head coach of this team and is going to be the head coach of this team at least for another year? How?
Well,
is Jerry Jones that much of a stubborn idiot?
Yeah, I guess he is, because he didn't look real happy after the game. And when questioned, he wouldn't even respond to it, almost saying that he was getting rid of McCarthy. But, the bottom line is, number one, LaFleur outcoached McCarthy the whole game. But he started with the very first play of the game, which was the coin toss. They won the toss, and they took the ball. And They went and marched the ball right down Dallas's throat, and that set the tone for the game. Which I still, for the life of me, cannot understand this deferring. Unless you got a defense like the '86 Bears, yeah, deferring the kickoff is ridiculous.
Well, the deferring the kickoff is quite simple, Prophet. When you break it down from, and I know you're not an analytical fan because that was one of your I don't love that's earlier in the season. But when you break it down, and if you could, the hope is to steal a drive at the end of the half and then get the ball back at halftime. And it has worked out quite well many a times for teams who chose to defer, where you go down, you milk the clock out for the first half, you either score a field goal or a touchdown, and then you turn around and you get the ball back coming in the second half. That's the mindset. I don't understand why that doesn't resonate with you.
I understand why they do it. I just don't agree with it. I agree with what LaFleur did. Get the ball. Let's start the game quick. Let's get up on them, and everything else will take care of itself. Dallas got the score before the half, and then they got the ball back. But guess what? They were already down 3 touchdowns.
Well, that's the exception, not the rule, Prophet.
Well, it's the exception because nobody else freaking takes the kick. They all defer.
Anyway, it was not a good game to watch. It was embarrassing. The team just didn't look like they were ready. CeeDee Lamb was sleepwalking. Dak was not good. I mean, you threw the ball freaking 60 times. Like, that's not conducive, you know?
No, that's not good for any team.
At the end of the day, NFC East champs and the Eagles are sitting home playing golf together.
Yep. They played one more game than the Patriots or the Falcons or the Bears.
Moving on here, and the only competitive game in my eyes of the weekend was the Lions edging out the Rams in a thriller. Prophet, you hit this one on the head, man. You didn't hit the score, but you did say that the Lions are going to win this game by 1 point. How did you do it?
You know what? I saw a good game here. I thought it was going to be an instant classic, and guess what? If I had a choice of any of the games to watch from this past weekend, I'll watch that game 10 times straight over any of the other ones. It was a fun game to watch. The first half was amazing. I mean, they were back and forth. It was like punch counter punch.
I love the atmosphere in Detroit for that game from the Eminem intro. I know that doesn't resonate a whole lot with you, but he's a Detroit guy.
No, I like Peanuts.
Dan, we talked about those dad jokes, didn't we? The Dan Campbell said that 45 minutes before kickoff, the stands were 90% full, and they were loud and they were rowdy the entire time. And guess what? In Detroit, it hasn't happened in a long time, man, and I'm happy for him. Dan Campbell, you talk about the right guy for the right job. Dan Campbell turns out to be the only guy for that job 3 years ago, because he is what Detroit stands for and what Detroit represents, in my opinion, and just a tough, hard-nosed guy. And they were replaying his press conference from when he accepted the job a couple years ago. He said, we might get knocked down, but on our way up, we're going to take out your kneecap. And then we might get knocked down again. It's going to be a little tougher to knock us down a second time, but we might get knocked down again. But when we get up, we're going to take out your other kneecap. He said, we might get knocked down a third time. It's going to be hard, but we're going to get up, and then we're going to headbutt you in the face. And then we're going to keep going until we can't stop anymore. And that's the way they play. To fruition, man. You see it. That's the way they play. That's the way he coaches, and it's fun as hell, man, because he's true to his word. Dave Blizzard, 1 point win, to call that's harder than calling an actual score. That's why we got him on the show, Dave. He's on a 2-year retainer. I've only got enough salary to get us through the next 2 weeks, though, so we're gonna have to restructure a deal or something here.
I've been told I'm not just a pretty face.
Moving on here, the Bills, your teams, they stay red hot in the blizzard, and they roll the Steelers 31-17. Prophet, what'd you think about this game? What stood out to you? Are the Steelers that bad, or are the Bills that good? What's going on here?
Well, a couple of things stood out, Slinger, okay, and going back to the Kansas City game. Similar conditions, okay? Two reeling teams playing in similar conditions, and they put on a dud. Now, you get two teams that are playing well in the same type conditions, and they put on an exciting game. Buffalo showed Josh Allen stepped to the forefront, showed that he is going to be tough to beat in these playoffs. Mason Rudolph didn't play terrible. I mean, he did it. He had an okay showing. We got to remember that T.J. Watt was out for Pittsburgh.
He was,
in this game.
yeah. He's been out for a few weeks, right?
No, he got hurt last week, and he's
I thought it was 2 weeks ago. I thought it was 2 weeks
against
ago.
Cincinnati. Against Baltimore, the last game of the year. He's the heart and soul of that defense. Yeah,
Sure.
And they played well. I actually enjoyed the game. I mean,
that run by Allen, that 52-yard touchdown run, was pretty remarkable. And he's getting a lot of crap because they said he looked like he was ready to fake slide, and guys don't buy that because you try and if you slow down, it looks like you're giving yourself up, but he kept on going. I don't think it was a fake slide. I think it was just a feeble attempt at a juke move, but.
I think he slowed down just to let some blocking happen in front of him to keep on going. And yeah.
Either way, man. I mean, Allen, he had a great game. He's shown up. He's shown up these last 8-9 weeks, whatever it is, and again, it doesn't matter what you do during the season as long as you get to the dance. If you can play hot in the dance, man, you never know what's going to happen. So, speaking of playing hot in the dance, Baker Mayfield embarrasses the Philadelphia Eagles, throwing for 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The Eagles, we talked about them. They struggled to get an offensive touchdown in this game. It was never even close. It was never close, Prophet, and it was just Buccaneers the whole time, and just kind of, like I said, a culmination of a poor Eagles season. It was heartless. It was emotionless, just like the rest of the team.
That team they do not know how to tackle, for starters. They did. I mean, a couple of them plays, it was just like the receivers were just running through the whole defense, and it was amazing. We talked earlier about trying to get the playing field straight across the board here with the weather and the inside outside domes and all. I have a problem with this Monday night game. Whoever comes out of this game wins this game is behind the 8 ball, because they have to play on a short week now. Why is Monday a game for playoffs? I have a problem.
Super
with the
wild
NFL
card weekend. That's why.
3 on Saturday, 3 Sunday. It's
2-2-2 was pretty cool too.
Especially
with having the day off on Monday. So I get it, but we don't. It's done now. It's just Saturday and Sunday from here on out. So
until next year.
Well, one more week of Monday Night Football never hurt anybody. Prophet, stop being a sourpuss, okay? And that wraps up. That wraps up another week of the weekly roundup here on the Sling'n Proffet podcast. And if you don't love that music, I don't know, you might want to check your pulse, because you might not be awake, Prophet, because that's some damn good tunage there.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
You have you said you have an email, but it's saved for the plays of the week.
Yeah, it was later in the show.
Let's take a minute here to kind of digest and unpack what everything we talked about. Larry comes through and breaks this news to us that the Cowboys are keeping their head coach for another year. We kind of go in on the Eagles and how bad they are. We talk about the unfairness of these weather games. Prophet, we got a big weekend ahead, man. We have a
Big,
big weekend ahead.
huge.
We got the Niners coming off their little bye. We got the Ravens coming off their bye. I think they're going to be ready to go. And we got got a few big games on the slate here and a few enticing lines that we're going to talk about. All
Yeah,
right, so we're going
buddy.
to kind of dive right into it, into our games of the week here, and we're going to keep rolling. All right, a lot of football, action-packed podcast, action-packed show, and we're just going to keep rolling into it. First off, we're starting off again. We're going to start off in order of the games being aired. So this will be the first game on Saturday. We got the Texans, who are red hot, going in to visit the Super Bowl favorites. They're the favorites, right? Or is Niners the favorites?
Nah, the Ravens are the favorites.
Going in to visit the Super Bowl favorite Baltimore Ravens. Over under here is 43.5. The line here, Prophet. The line 9.5. What this is? I mean, coming from a betting standpoint, what is this line telling you? What's Vegas trying to get you to do here?
Well, I think a lot of that line has to do with they're looking at what happened in Week 1, and you know Baltimore won I think 25-9 in Week 1, and these are two different teams. I mean, Baltimore's the same, but Houston's not the same team they were 18 weeks ago. Um, this is
No.
this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a real good game, and considering the fact that since the inception of Super Wildcard 3 years ago, teams coming off bye weeks are only 3-3 straight up, and they're 1-5 against the spread.
Whew. Wow.
So,
So you're talking about the teams who had buys
teams that
are
had
three
bye.
and three straight up coming off those bye weeks
That
since
is correct.
the inception of Super Wild Card Weekend.
And they're only, more importantly, they're only 1-5 against the spread.
Oh, more importantly, because I'm sure that the players care about the spread.
Well,
Some of them probably do.
Hey, don't we play money, 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 money? That's what we're. That's
I'm
what
talking
we're
about
concerned
winning, Prophet. You're talking
Oh,
about a different kind of winning. I'm talking about winning. Give me your
I'm
prediction
talking.
for this
I'm
game,
talking
please.
about winning. I'm talking about winning also, and I think Baltimore is going to win this game, and I got them going 21-17. But I would not be the least bit surprised if the Texans go in there and upset this team.
And it's funny you say that, Prophet, because there's a lot of variables going into this game. We got, your whole bye week scenario. You got a young, hot rookie quarterback that's looking to continue his campaign of his amazing season. You got a rookie head coach who's doing great things with his team. And I told you, everybody wants a story they can get behind. All right, I'm getting behind this story. First of all, for two reasons. One reason, I got to catch up to you in the wins and losses column. Second of all, I really, really want the Texans to win this game. So much so that I'm betting with my head and my heart. I got the Texans pulling the upset of the year off over the Ravens. 20. How's this going to happen? It's going to be 21-20, and then the Texans are going to kick a field goal as time expires, and the Texans are going to win 23-21 on a last-second field goal.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction.
23-21 on a last-second field goal. Texans over the Ravens. You heard it here.
You just said that you got me on a 2-year retainer, and now you're trying to make predictions like me, like you want my job. Come on, man.
Yeah. Moving on, Saturday night game. Got those hot, man. We talk about who's hot, and you talk about nobody's really hotter than Jordan Love, right? One of the best quarterbacks, if not the hottest quarterback in the league right now.
No, he's playing well for sure.
We got the Packers visiting the San Francisco 49ers, which should be a good game. Over-under comes in at 50.5. Again, with the line here, Prophet, I don't know what's going on? But you got the Niners here at 9.5 point favorites. What do you think about this line?
That, that this one I don't understand. I mean, San Fran had some injuries the last week of the season, so they got the extra week to heal up. San Fran is definitely the better team. Um, San Fran was one of the teams that played that added to that 3-3 record. They went into Green Bay 2 years ago. If you remember, I believe it was a Saturday night playing in frigid temperatures, and they beat Green Bay 13-10. They were 6 point pups in that game. Um, I don't know. I really don't know what the thought process is here after watching Green Bay this past week. San Fran should win this game, but I'm not sure that they cover. I got San Fran going 24-20.
Yeah, you know, Larry says he can see this one going to Green Bay. The line's got it wrong. I could see this line should be, maybe 3.5. I think that's a fair line. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think? Where would you put it if you were? I mean, you just gave your prediction, I guess, but
I had San Fran 5.5 before
okay.
I looked at the lines and all. But
All right.
my
I again, you got a good team in the 49ers. They're a good football team. They're probably,
no doubt.
I would say odds on. They're the odds on favorite. They are the odds on favorite to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And I didn't give the Packers much credit. I didn't give them much credit last week, and I should have, because they were impressive. I thought, as bad as the Cowboys looked, there had to be somebody on the other end of that string, if you know what I'm saying. And the Cowboys, or I'm sorry, the Packers played well, and Jordan Love played well, and he's really starting to shine, and he's been shining all year. However, good.
I'm sorry. Just saying it. They're getting hot at the right time.
They
And
are, but I don't think it's enough to overcome the Niners, is what I was going to say.
excuse me.
And I think the Niners are too tough of a team, and the Niners are going to take this one Saturday night. It's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a slightly high scoring game. I can see San Fran on this one 30 to 24.
Okay. So we agree on that one.
We do. Dave says that San Fran defense isn't the Dallas defense. Does
This
that
is
mean?
true. This is true.
Here's another game for us. The Buccaneers visiting the Detroit Lions. Over under 48.5. Detroit 6.5 point favorites here. I think I'm going to go first.
Go.
I think that the Buccaneers, they are a flash in the pan. They won their one game. They got a great draw versus the Eagles. All right, Eagles were down. Eagles were never really had a shot to. I don't, realistically speaking, not many people gave the Eagles a shot to win that game, and they didn't show up. They didn't even look like they got off the plane in Philadelphia, or got on the plane in Philadelphia. Buccaneers had their run. They had their one win. They got something to build off for next year. But I think that's the end of the road for the Buccaneers. All right, they're going to go into a very, very hostile environment in Detroit. This game is going to come down to who wants it more? Detroit. Who can run the ball better? Detroit. Who can defend the run better? Detroit. This game's not even going to be close. I got the Lions winning this one in a rout, 30-17.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're talking about the lines for the first two games, okay? I'm talking about the line for this game. I honestly think Vegas has this line terribly wrong. I had Detroit as a 10-point favorite after Monday night's game here. And they come out, they open up at 6.5. They've been bet down to 6 at this point, at the time of writing. Detroit beat them earlier in the year, 20-6, I believe it was, and Detroit's going to beat them again this time. They got the playoff jitters out of their system from last week. That it was a big game last week for more reasons than one. They hadn't been in the playoffs for a while. They got them jitters out. Detroit's going to come out and roll 30-10.
Damn, 30-10, 20-point victory for the Lions, coming from the Prophet. And our last game of the weekend, we got those the KC. God dang it, I did it again. We got the Chiefs visiting Buffalo. I don't know what the weather is supposed to be like, but I imagine it's cold. But that's okay because both these teams are used to it, all right? Over under 45.5. Buffalo here coming in at 2.5-point favorites. This game has all the makings of a heavyweight fight, a heavyweight title fight, 12-round knockdown, drag-out fight. I have to use my head and not my heart. Okay? And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. All right? And I think that the Bills might win by 22 points in this game, Prophet. And for you didn't pick up on it. That was a Taylor Swift lyric. All right?
Taylor who?
Yeah. I got the Bills in this one. I got the Bills big. I just have a feeling that the Chiefs are not going to show up again. I don't know why. It's just a feeling I got deep down in my plums, Prophet, and I feel like the Bills are going to take it, and they're going to take it big. Let's say Buffalo 27, Kansas City 17.
Okay. Well, this is a tale of two teams going in opposite directions, okay? Buffalo is hot. In frigid Buffalo is hot. Kansas City's coming in off a 3-game win streak. Again, they beat Miami last week, a big deal. They beat the Chargers the end of this season. That was a big deal because there was no Taylor Swift at the game, so that was a big deal. And they beat Cincinnati, with backup quarterback. They're going in opposite directions. Buffalo is looking at one thing and one thing only, and that's the Super Bowl. Kansas City. Buffalo's won this game the last 2 years in Kansas City. The game's been played 5 times in a row in Kansas City. This is Patrick Mahomes' first playoff game on the road.
Yep.
On the road. His first playoff game on the road.
That's tough to believe, but it is.
Yeah, and what a terrible place to have to go in to play the Buffalo, man. Them fans are crazy. I got Buffalo rolling in this game 31-21, and I don't even think it's going to be that close.
31-21. You heard it, Prophet. I think we split 2-2, didn't we?
Yeah.
Let's hear the numbers from last week, huh?
Yeah. Well, last week I was 4-2, as were you.
Yeah.
And that puts me at 22-9 for the year, and you have worked your way up to 500 at 16-16.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But
climbing back in there.
You're still 7 games behind me.
Oh, I'm 500. I'm climbing back in there.
Heavy lies the head that wears the crown, my friend.
Is that where all your hair went? Under the crown, Prophet? We're wrapping up here. We're into our plays of the week. Our number one segment. People love it. People come here to hear the picks that I have to make because I do nothing apparently but win at least 1 out of my 3 picks every week. All right. I might have lost with the Cleveland pick. I think everybody lost with the Cleveland pick. My college basketball parlay, I don't want to talk about it. We took a bad loss last week, okay? Well, none of the games I don't think wound up close.
Were you playing patty cake with your stepbrother when you were making them picks for that parlay? I watched the show back and I heard, what in the hell is patty cake with your stepbrother? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, it's a football term It's when you go easy on somebody because you're like mutually in agreement that you're not going to give a tough, hard effort. So if you're on offensive line and you have a defensive line in front of you and you know you're both not going to go as hard as you possibly can, it's called playing patty cake with your stepbrother, or don't stepbrother me, or something like that.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
I
I
heard
don't remember using the reference, but
you did, and I heard that, and I was like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
anyway,
But anyhow,
I hit the Chiefs Dolphins under because any moron could have played the under in this game because it was negative 30 freaking degrees and no points were scored. So I hit the under to save my week. All right, I started with 307, I got 94 back. I end my week with 401. Hey, we started this thing 9 weeks ago and I'm still only $99 down. I sound like a used mattress salesman right now. $99 down, $99 a month. But I'm still in this thing, Prophet. I'm
yeah,
still in it.
yeah, you are.
You touch on your bets from last week.
Okay. Well, last week I said after putting out my plays, we were going for the heavy hitters last week. Okay, and I said I don't anticipate winning all three of them. We might not even win two, but we're going to win one, and we're going to win money if we hit one. We hit one. We hit Dalton Kincaid anytime touchdown. He scored the second TD of the game. It was money in the pocket real quick. The thing that aggravated me the most, though, was that Kansas City game because Rashee Rice scored twice that night, and the second one, the lineman got called for tackling a defensive player. Rice was already a yard and a half past him. Why he touched him, I have no clue, but that ended up costing us $1,100 there. All in all, we won 260 for the week. Yeah, no kidding, Blizz. It should have hit, but we still won 1-3 when you're playing 5 and 100 and 200 to 1 odds. 1-2 ain't a bad record because you hit one, you win, and that's what we did. So I believe
one would say that the refs had a handful of trunks in the call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They had a bite of trunks. Anyway, that's a professional wrestling reference. Listen, Prophet, the fact of the matter is your ending balance here is 4 digits, and you started with 3 digits. So that's impressive. You're over the 1,000 unit mark here.
And it's going to continue to grow, guys. And the only reason it isn't 5 digits is because we only put 3 plays out.
Huh. All right. Some people don't have as deep a bankroll as you, Prophet. So we'll keep it at 3. All right.
3's good.
We're moving on. We're moving on to our picks for this week. Now, I don't want to disappoint everybody, okay? But DraftKings didn't have the college basketball games out for tomorrow night yet. So I'm not able, after 9 weeks of straight, I know you guys look forward to it. After 9 weeks of playing, the streak of the college basketball parlay has to come to an end. Fear not, however. I have replaced it with the NBA parlay. One and done. I branch out into my second favorite basketball realm, and that will be the National Basketball Association. First of all, let's handle business. My first play of the week, and you can take this to the bank, put whatever you want on it. Houston plus 9.5. Like I said, my prediction, I think Houston wins outright, but Ravens aren't going to beat them by 9.5 points. I got 50 on it to win 95. I'm playing smart, playing a little lighter this week. I got to hold on to that money come into the off season because we're going to have to put that money elsewhere or those units elsewhere. My NBA parlay for tomorrow night, so Thursday night, my NBA parlay. I got the Buffalo Bulls at -2. Chicago Bulls at -2. The Thunder from the town that they're from.
Oak City,
Oklahoma. They're Oakland. I thought there was a team in Oakland.
Oklahoma City.
Oh, Oklahoma City. I thought there was a team in Oakland already. Anyway, the Thunder, minus 3.5. Take that to the bank. And I got the LA Kings, -8.
Hey, that's the hockey team.
Uh,
Sacramento Kings.
I got the Sacramento Kings, -8. Take that to the
Take it to the bank.
take that to the bank. If you ever had a game that was a no doubter, baby, that's a parlay. Bet yourself 25. Bet yourself 50 if you want.
Put your mortgage on it.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is, and take it to the bank because it's gonna hit real big.
Wait,
25 to win 175.
Let me see that I got this straight. We got the Chicago Bills, the whatever team the Thunder's from, and the LA Kings.
No,
right?
Chicago Bulls.
I thought you said the Bills.
Oh yeah. Anyway, and my iffy pick for the week. This one I'm not so sure about, guys. I got a 4-team parlay, anytime scorer. I got Lamar Jackson, Deebo Samuel, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Isaiah Pacheco, all to score at anytime touchdowns. Throw yourself 25 on that. That'll get you 443 back. Again, the other two plays are slam dunks. This one I'm a little nervous about. Proffet, what do you got?
Boy, I don't know that I could top him. Okay, well, I said it in the weekly roundup. I think that Detroit line is way out of whack. Again, it got bet down to 6 already. I see Detroit blowing this team out. Tampa Bay's run is over. It was fun while it lasted for them. All 3 of my plays this week, I'm wagering 110 to win back 210. Take the Detroit Lions -6, 6.5. 7, I would start betting it down to 6.5, because just in case. But I think they're going to beat them pretty good. My second game for the week is take Buffalo minus the 2.5 over Kansas City. Again, Buffalo's the hottest team in football right now. Hot teams do well in playoffs. Patrick Mahomes, first road game in the playoffs. Take the Bills. Easy. And my third game is I'm going with the under. You in the San Fran game, under 50.5. I talked about teams coming off the byes, their records. Their over/under record is 1-5 also in these 6 games, and I cannot see Green Bay putting up the amount of points, half of the points that they put up on Dallas last week, and I think Green Bay's defense is good enough to keep them in check. It's going to be close, but it's going to stay under. It's supposed to be pretty bad weather out there, rain-wise. So take the under in the San Fran Green Bay.
It's still early for weather.
Yeah, it is. But in San Fran, there's always a chance of rain too. But
Dave said he would parlay the Lions and the Buffalo game. Lions -6, Buffalo -2.5.
And this is a bonus bet. It's not getting on the chart here. Okay, I put the bet in last week and I got 750 to 1 plus 750. I took Josh Allen to win the MVP of the Super Bowl. He is down to plus 550. So if you're going to do anything, I would do it quick, because they get past this week, he's probably going to be down to about 250.
Yeah.
But
that's good advice, Proffet. And like you said, if you're going to get in on it, get on it now, because it's only going to go down further than that. Proffet,
right.
You're always so insightful with these plays, man. And people are just, if I would just love to know if anybody's actually playing them, because you're doing such a good job with it. Obviously, you've doubled your money. So I'm curious to see if anybody's doing anything with it, but I guess time will tell.
I sent out 18 emails on Monday. Okay, and I do have an email here I want to read, and I just got it this afternoon, and it's from Rolling in the Dough, and it says, "You the man, Prophet. 5 out of 6 winners on Monday, and all I had to do was send you an email. You made a forever watcher to your show. Thank you." Guys, I gave out, along with Dalton Kincaid and Mike Evans, which was my only loser, I put out Buffalo, the over, Tampa Bay, and the under. 18 people asked me what I was playing on Monday. I sent it out to them. All you got to do is send me an email. You want to know?
Prophet, we got to start monetizing this somehow, because people make way too much money off of giving their picks, and they're not half as good as you are, and you're giving them away for free. All right. So why the old wives' tale is, why jerk the cow if you could get the milk for free? We're not going to give our milk away anymore for jerking the cow.
I,
No, wait,
know.
why? Why? No. It says, why pay for the cow when you can get the milk for free? That's what it is. That's the quote.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, it's got to be your cow.
Whatever.
It's got to be your cow.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyway.
My cow don't work the way it used to, so I'm getting older and all, but
we're moving on. Oh my God, we're moving on.
Okay,
I don't love that. I don't love that.
Okay, I'll get you in, Prophet. Go ahead.
Yeah, before we move on, okay. Teacher's holding class, and she says to the students, okay, I want somebody to tell me a word that ends in TOR, and it eats you, or it eats things. So little Chrissy puts up her hand and says alligator. Very good, Chrissy. Alligators do eat. Anybody else? Little Johnny puts up his hand and he says vibrator. She looks at him confused. He says, yeah, that ends in TOR, but vibrators don't eat things. Little Johnny says, my mother says vibrators, her vibrator eats the hell out of the batteries. Nah, okay.
It's a family show, Prophet.
Ah, okay, sorry. Choose on the batteries.
This episode's going south quickly. We're going.
I don't love that.
Prophet, I don't love that.
I don't
joke.
love that.
I would appreciate you not
I
telling
don't love
jokes
that.
anymore. I don't love this. And Prophet, we're going to go into this segment here as we wrap things up. I'm going to read you a tweet from John Clark, who is a prominent Philadelphia Philadelphia sports prophet. I'm reading the comments here. We got Jerkin the Cow. We got Rechargeable. Dave Blizzard's dead. And Mrs. Prophet says that wasn't very nice. So I'm going to read you a message here from John Clark, who is the Philadelphia sports beat writer here in Philly. And he's been pretty good, except the last few years he's just kind of gone. It's just tough to talk about. But so he wrote a little piece on the Eagles pregame. He sends a picture of the Eagles all joined up in the end zone, and he says, "I'm told the main message from Nick Sirianni in last night's team meeting was just like his message all week long: get back to being physical and dominant team. I'm told in the team hotel when the Cowboys got blown out, the Eagles were hyped and it lit a fire under them." I don't love the fact that you have a city that is so dependent on the failure of somebody else in order to inspire themselves or to motivate themselves, that you can't motivate your own self with your own self-righteousness or your self-worth or your own success or whatever it might be, that you have to wallow in the pity of another city so much to the point where you can't even be happy for your own success, and you can't even do it yourself because you're so reliant on, like, what are you talking about? These are grown men, and you're talking about they were hooting and hollering in the lobby because the Cowboys got blown out and it lit an extra fire under them. If that's true, you're worried about the wrong things, and it tells you all you need to know about the damn coaching staff of the Eagles. Because if I was the coach of that team, I'd say, shut the hell up. What are you doing? We don't play the Cowboys tomorrow.
Right.
Who gives a crap? So that's what I don't love. I just thought it was a weird thing to put out, and it's a weird thing to be happy about.
Well,
what don't you love?
I don't love, and it's along similar lines. And I'm going to remain calm, okay, in saying this, because, and I am very passionate about this. I've touched on it before in the show. I don't love people that are passionate about their teams to the point that they have blinders on, okay? And from everything I'm seeing tonight, the guys that, the Dallas fans, they know what's going on in Dallas. The Bear fans, he knows what's going on in Chicago. All on Facebook on Sunday, all I saw was Eagles fans posting memes, posting this, posting that about Dallas, about how terrible Dallas was. But yet, yesterday, I didn't see one post from an Eagles fan about how terrible the Eagles were. Okay? Guys, it's okay to be passionate about your team. But don't, call a spade a spade. When your guys don't play well, say it. Don't come up with excuses as to why they didn't play well. Okay, so you're happy Dallas got blown away, but then your team turns around and gets blown away. And it's not just Dallas and Eagles fans, it's fans all across the country. Be passionate, enjoy your team, but be real about things too. That's all I got to say about that. I stayed calm in that.
Yeah, you did, Proffet. And that's a good point. Like you said, I see a lot of Dallas sucks and F Dallas and this and that, but I don't see a whole lot of we suck too, and that's where the finger pointing comes in. I think that's it, man. That's another good show for us. We got a big weekend of football coming up here, Proffet, and we're going to be right back next Wednesday night to unpack it all after a divisional round. You'll be happy to know that there's no Monday night games next week, Proffet, so you don't have anything to complain about there.
And next week we're going to have a little bit of a wrestling segment too.
We will. For all you wrestling fans out there, it's a big week going into WWE. Always one of my favorite pay-per-views. Premium live events. We got the Royal Rumble coming up, so we're going to talk a little bit about our favorite Royal Rumble moments, and we're going to do a little prediction here for Royal Rumble as we head into WrestleMania season. So be sure to join us next week. But before we go, we got to hit our day in history because we're just so well-rounded in this program. Cows and batteries and whatnot. On this date, Proffet, in 2008, all right, a little recent, American-born chess player Bobby Fischer, who became the youngest grandmaster in history, received the title in 1958, died in Iceland at the age of 64. Remember that movie? What was that movie? With Bobby Fischer, a chess player.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but he had
it was something Bobby Fischer.
He had some classic matches with that Russian guy years ago.
Yeah, if there could be a classic chess match. I know Blizzard's a chess player. So. On this date, we got a little WWE history for you. On this date, in 1992, the Mountie defeated Bret Hart for the WWF Intercontinental Championship at a house show in Springfield, Massachusetts, just 48 hours before their scheduled title match at the Royal Rumble. Proffet, what do you think about, there it is, Larry, searching for Bobby Fischer. I knew it had Bobby Fischer in it. Proffet, what do you think about the lost art of titles changing hands at a house show? You don't see it anymore. And for those of you who don't know, a house show is a show in wrestling that's not on television. It's just live.
I think it's terrible. Because now every time you go to a house show, you don't have to worry about seeing a title change, and just kind of takes the fun out of it.
Sure, I used to like when they had surprise title changes at these house shows. Staying on the whole wrestling theme, in 1999, Goldberg defeated Scott Hall in a ladder stun gun match at the main event of WCW Sold Out in Charleston, West Virginia. Prophet, this was the time when WCW started going really downhill and ran a lot of weird gimmick matches, but nevertheless, Goldberg beats Scott Hall in a stun gun match.
Ladder match, I say it,
but on this date in 1954, our last one, the 4th NFL Pro Bowl was played at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Eastern Conference beat the Western Conference 20-9, and the MVP was, Philadelphia Eagle, Chuck Bednarik. Prophet, you talk about a time when the Pro Bowl actually meant something, huh? Pro Bowl is kind of a joke now, isn't it?
Flag football.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, that'll wrap it up for this week of Sling'n Proffet. Again, thanks for joining us. We've been putting together a nice little run here of viewership and commentary throughout the show. So we do appreciate you guys. Again, a lot to talk about next week. Big week of football. Big week of sports in general. So we're going to see you right back here next Wednesday night, 7:30 Eastern. Again, thanks for joining us. Take it easy, everybody.
Good night, all. Thank you.